I was so excited to find out that it was the 50th anniversary of the Faculty of Science in its current modern incarnation. I'm the first female dean of the Faculty of Science. There were scientists hired in the early days here whose names are on the buildings. The thread for science goes back to the hiring of those 6 fundamental professors. They represented what we think of as being the best in science: open-mindedness, curiosity, hard work to create a good environment for learning and research. Buller was one of the first 6 faculty members, and he was very supportive of women, in particular, in entering into scientific fields. It's only through support from faculty such as Buller that people who may not traditionally be seen as scientists can make their way and be as successful as his students.
What is common between what we do now and the past is the education of our students. Right? Passing on knowledge from one generation to the next is a critically important part of what a university does for our society. So that has not changed, and it never will change, right? Passing on the knowledge base from one generation to the next is our responsibility. If you go back and you read old papers, they're making a discovery in some area, but nowadays you already know what the answer is, but they're still trying to probe and find it. You can see the incremental progress that's made to bring us to where we are today.
I've been reflecting on the question of what would the first 6 science professors think if they came back today. They'd be amazed at the diversity of our students. They'd be probably very pleased knowing who they were about our efforts to support science in Indigenous and First Nations populations and work with them in various research activities.
The university as a whole is really trying to acknowledge wrongs of the past with Indigenous people. We're on Indigenous lands and we recognize the harms of the past. We've got 2 new Indigenous scholars, one in the Department of Chemistry and one in the Department of Microbiology. So we're trying to implement research that touches different Indigenous communities and has relevance to that. Also to do more outreach in that area and to bring Indigenous aspects into the teaching that we're doing in the classroom.
One of the things that we're trying to achieve in the Faculty of Science today that I think has always been done but hasn't been highlighted and emphasized is to connect more directly the work we do and the work we're capable of doing with the needs of our community.
When we had the opportunity to work with Indigenous people or First Nation communities, we really thought this is a great opportunity to do something as a university lab to help out their communities in certain aspects.
We can collect water from the lake, bring the water samples back to the lab, extract the DNA, and tell you what kind of fish are living in there. So the idea is that we can monitor in a much more cost-effective and rapid turnaround way presence, absence of different species in areas of interest. It's important to have a good survey of the Arctic as a whole, what's living where, because things are changing due to climate change, due to communities are growing, due to all sorts of different impacts, and it's important to know what we have there for now and to monitor how that's changing as a result of these impacts. And that's really what their drive is as well, because they want to make sure that their water is safe to drink and that their fish are safe to eat. And so a big part of that is knowing what fish are where and is that changing. And so right now our focus is a very small area, but the research has a huge potential to grow to cover as much area as we're able to handle. And so that's the interest, that's the way that the project seems to be going in the future.
It's a place and point in time that allows us to reflect on where we've been, what we've accomplished, how we've changed as an institution, and allows us to think about what are we going to do in the next 50 years. So all that has gone before is laying the groundwork for what we're going to be in the future.